Cash crunches don't come much bigger than this. The controller of the city of Los Angeles has announced that L.A. will run out of cash on May 5th. The city may not be able to make payroll and is looking for $90 million from reserve funds to ensure solvency through June. Joining us now from Los Angeles is Wendy Greuel, the controller for the city of Los Angeles. Ms. Greuel, welcome to Bloomberg News. Thank you for coming on today.
Glad to be here this morning.
Ma'am, tell us what is the lesson to be learned from what L.A. is going through? What should other municipalities take away from your situation?
I think the important thing is number one, to ensure you have a hefty reserve fund, at least a 5%. My concern is that we've waited too long to make some of the cuts and changes to our budget to ensure that we can meet our obligations this fiscal year.
Ma'am, why did you wait so long? What happened?
Well, I, as the city controller, have advised the mayor and council as to, throughout this year, when we were spending more than we had. I think it's both the economic crisis and the fact that revenues were much lower than were projected. But I've been warning for the past several months that cuts needed to happen sooner rather than later to ensure we could meet our financial obligations, and particularly with our cash flow.
Why didn't anyone listen to you?
Well, I think making those tough decisions sometimes is difficult. The mayor 2 months ago began immediately laying off and sending those notices to ensure that we started to reduce the number of people on our payroll. The problem that occurred this last week is an anticipated transfer from our Department of Water and Power of $73 million is not occurring, and that has increased our budget deficit now to about $285 million just for this fiscal year alone.
Why is the Department of Water and Power in such need of a rate increase here? Aren't energy prices down? The utility also generally considered well run?
The Department of Water and Power had asked the mayor and council to increase a percentage that's called an ECAF for their energy conservation funds, and particularly to address some of the costs associated with it. They had a report that indicated they were under collecting for the costs associated with some of that green power and other energy, and so they had asked the mayor and council for an increase. Because they reached an impasse last week that the mayor and council and the DEPT commission could not agree, the Department of Water and Power is indicating they don't believe they have the $73 million surplus to send to the city of Los Angeles.
So where does L.A. go from here? How much money can you save through spending cuts, personnel reductions, et cetera, by the end of the year?
Well, what we're asking for as city controller, I'm asking for $90 million from our reserve fund to get us through the month of May to ensure that we can meet our obligations. In addition, they're going to have to make additional cuts between now and the end of this fiscal year to balance our budget. Right now, without additional cuts, we will either be at a zero reserve fund or a negative 43 at the end of June. And so they're going to have to make some tough choices about stemming the tide, stopping the hemorrhaging to meet this particular $73 million budget deficit that's been added to our rolls.
So in our last 30 seconds, if those tough choices are made and you can stem, as you call, the hemorrhaging right now, what's the likelihood that L.A. could be in the same situation a year from now?
Well, we are anticipating a big deficit next year, and what we have to do is go back to the basics of what the city can provide: public safety, public works, transportation, and be able to indicate to people that we're not going to be able to do more. We have to work with the unions and work on some concessions as well to be able to balance our budget.
Wendy Greuel, the controller of the city of Los Angeles, joining us live. Ms. Greuel, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.